A soggy, windy night in the Big Apple. This is a live look at Midtown Manhattan. More on the dreary situation there.
And a warmer winter this season could mean a lot more snake sightings than usual. How El Nino is playing a role.
And the weatherman, Owen Daniels, a tight end for the Denver Broncos, stops by our studios and tries his hand at forecasting. Hear what inspired him to become a meteorologist.
You're watching WeatherNation Tonight.
And thanks for staying with us. I'm meteorologist Rhonda Lee.
And I'm meteorologist Corey Christensen. We are tracking more rain across the Northeast. Let's turn things over to meteorologist David Neal for the very latest. David?
Looking into the northeastern United States, where a lot of that weather that was moving across the southern U.S. over this past 7 days has now made its way northward finally into a low pressure that's up into Marquette and moving northward and eastward, causing a lot of heavy rainfall into the area. Meanwhile, we have some winds gusting in excess of 40 miles per hour coming into Long Island Sound, northward all the way up to Boston and Providence, where some of the heavy stuff is at the moment. And then as you move over to the east, even along the Great Lakes, I was just looking, some of these winds are in excess. Around Chicago, we got a wind speed there of about 30 to 40 miles per hour, 32 miles per hour just on the west side of Lake Michigan. There's a 25 mile per hour wind gusting up to 40. So it's gusty all over the upper Midwest and the Northeast, Rhonda. That may last a little while longer this evening.
Yeah, we're going to be covering that through the rest of the evening. Thank you so much, David, for that. Now, since you're watching us right now, you likely have a fascination with weather, but you might not think an elite athlete from the NFL would share that interest. Well, meteorologist Monica Cryan show us one who does. And that's news
I'm
tonight.
here at Dove Valley, the Denver Broncos training center, where tight end Owen Daniels gets ready for the big games. But in his spare time, he's keeping track of the weather. So we invited him to the WeatherNation studio so he could really indulge in his inner weatherman. Owen Daniels jumped right in like a pro, giving the forecast for the World Series and even touching on El Nino.
What do you think about this? You think this is El Nino?
It looks like it's set up the right way.
He knows what he's talking about. He earned his degree in atmospheric and oceanic science at the University of Wisconsin while playing for the Badgers. Not an easy schedule to balance.
I don't think I really had a good grasp of how much math and how much physics was going to go into that major.
But with the help of tutors, he was able to master the basics and even his favorite weather phenomenon.
Cloud structures involved in that and everything that kind of has to go right to make a tornado happen.
Right.
You can have all type of conditions perfect for it, and something's missing so you don't get it.
It wasn't always this way. Daniel's fascination for atmospheric studies developed out of a fear of weather.
I was really scared of it, but I kind of grew into an interest and wanted to know more about it to kind of take that fear out of it.
Now he uses his knowledge to help him and his teammates on the field.
You got to make decisions on whether you're wearing gloves, what type of gloves, maybe not wearing gloves at all, footwear, making sure you have the right cleats on for the field you're playing on.
His favorite weather to play in is far from his favorite weather to study.
When you get, kind of later into the fall, kind of this time of year, it's great football weather. You're getting the 50s. Playing in the 50-degree weather is awesome because you're never going to get too hot or too cold.
Aside from giving the forecast at WeatherNation Studios, we tested his weather knowledge and asked him to list the cities he played for in order of highest to lowest annual snowfall amounts.
I'm going to go Denver, Madison, Chicago, Baltimore, Houston. I could be totally wrong.
Touchdown!
Really?
Well done. Well done.
Yes!
If Owen Daniels wasn't able to live out his dream as an NFL football player, he said he would like to combine his love for football and weather to help people out with their fantasy football teams. For WeatherNation, I'm meteorologist Monica Cryan.
Way to go, Owen.
I know, touchdown. All right, so still to come on WeatherNation tonight, a look at your Halloween forecast.
And we'll explain how El Nino could cause you to actually see more snakes out this winter. Plus,
2015 has been a wet month, and for some it has been one for the record books. We'll show you who got what and how much more rain could be on the way.
And of course, you can join us in on the conversation. Grab your phone, why not? Go ahead and like us on Facebook and post your coolest stories. Maybe some football stories would be nice. Just search Weather Nation. It's all one word. We'll see you online.
Welcome back to Weather Nation Now. I'm meteorologist David Neal. We're checking out what's going on across the country. If you were out and about, you headed out this evening, we have a few spots that we're concerned about. From rain to snow to high winds across the upper Midwest, we still have snow falling and now beginning to show up in and around Minneapolis and St. Cloud. You can see that on the Viper radar. Goes over into Wisconsin now from just to the west of Eau Claire down to La Crosse. A couple of scattered snow flurries, not a big deal down there, but it is accumulating in some areas of northwestern Wisconsin and central sections of the state of Minnesota, around Bemidji, specifically southward and over to International Falls. Low pressure sitting there in Marquette is winding up. On the backside of that, we have some high winds coming in, and we're bringing down some cooler air out of Canada. Nothing Arctic here, but cold enough to be producing snow. Should have already been happening in this portion of the U.S. A little slow in coming here, but overall, finally beginning to see a little bit of winter showing up there across the northern tier. Back over to the east, though, it's the heavy rain that's falling around New York City, northward into the interior portions of Pennsylvania, around Philadelphia. Up to Hartford and Boston, some heavy rainfall and winds coming in from the east-southeast that are causing a few problems across the area, too. We'll continue to watch this for you and have another report coming up. Rhonda?
All right, now October's been a wet month and one for the record books for many. Here's meteorologist Addison Green to break it all down for us.
Earlier on this month, we saw heavy rain come down across portions of the Carolinas, namely in South Carolina, where they saw historic rainfall totals when all was said and done for cities such as Charleston and the Columbia area as well. And then more recently, since about this past weekend or so, we had to deal with heavy rain across portions of the Southern Plains. Lindale, Texas, showing us the result of heavy rain coming down. This is how the satellite loop looked over the past several days during that time frame. Over this past weekend, seeing that ton of moisture coming on down, most of it as a result of the remnants of Hurricane Patricia coming on in. So far, the October rainfall, we've seen a couple of areas that we got to highlight for you, like Charleston and Columbia right there, Mobile and New Orleans down in Louisiana, Houston into the Waco area. Look at the scale right here. Start getting into the purple to the white. That's when you start talking about a foot of rain, if not close to 20 inches in some areas. So Charleston, South Carolina, on average, going through the month, you should see about 3.39 inches, but you've seen 18.65, so you're way above average by over 15 inches. Columbia, South Carolina, also seeing a huge surge from where you should be for this time of the month, picking up way more than 2.81. Waco, Texas, we've also seen a lot of rainfall come down since the beginning of the month, nearly a foot of rain. And over in New Orleans, Louisiana, we've also seen a surplus come by where we've seen almost 9 inches plus. There's more rain on the way for the rest of the month, so we could be seeing more records being broken. For Weather Nation, I'm meteorologist Addison Green.
Now for a live look with this Earth Cam shot over the downtown area of Seattle. We've got some light showers passing through portions of the northwest, but it will get heavier as we go through the rest of the week. We're looking at the potential here for some significant moisture, possibly even some river flooding. Cold front pushing in off of the Pacific. Again, just light showers so far that we've been seeing from Seattle down through Portland, kind of falling apart just a bit with that rain shadow effect on the east side of the Cascades, but then redeveloping here around Boise. Tri-Cities getting a little bit of that moisture here around Kennewick, Pasco, and Richland. Winds fairly light, although getting a bit breezy at times around Seattle, 11 miles an hour. Winds will be getting stronger for the next couple of days as we see a stronger push of moisture coming in off the Pacific, and at least through Thursday night, just some scattered showers. The heavier moisture comes in Friday into Saturday. Seattle all the way down into Portland, Salem, and Eugene. We're looking at the potential here for some significant rainfall. Here's another system here for Saturday. That's when we get the worst of the heavy rainfall right on Halloween. Not great timing there for the northwest. Showers from Spokane down through Lewiston, but it's definitely the western portions of both Washington and Oregon that we're looking at for some significant moisture here. Heavy rain across portions of northern Idaho, but look at all of this that we're going to see from Seattle down through Portland. All the purple you're seeing here, that's the heaviest rain over the mountains. Could lead to some river flooding. However, down across portions of I-5, not out of the question. We could see more than 2 inches of rain in some portions of the northwest. Definitely a soggy Halloween forecast for Seattle. A little more sunshine in there, but it's also a little too late for the trick-or-treaters.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's not cool. All right, well, when we come back, we're going to have your Halloween forecast. It's going to be scary for some folks.
I think so. Plus, the reason why El Nino could have those afraid of snakes squirming this winter.
Yeah, and hey, let your friends know that they can watch Weather Nation on Roku. Tell them that. Hey, in the meantime, you stay with us.
Welcome back again to Weather Nation Now, as we are following the weather for you tonight here across the north and eastern United States, where we still have some heavier rain that's falling around New York City, back over to Boston, and combined with the wind that's coming in off the East Coast. It's a miserable evening there. If you have to get out and about into eastern Pennsylvania, New York State, over to Albany, and then back up northward all the way to Concord and into Portland. In Maine, it's very heavy rain and strong winds in excess of 40 miles per hour coming onshore from the east, south, and east over to Philadelphia and New York City. Goes over to a low pressure center that is drawing in some colder air. Now, this is not Arctic air. It's only in the 30s and barely able to snow. It's mixed. It's 38 degrees in portions of Minneapolis. They're just back to the west in Eden Prairie and Minnetonka. I just checked with light rain that's falling, but it's snow. Off to the north into Hayward up I-35 toward Duluth and over to International Falls. There'll be a light dusting here and there across many areas into central Wisconsin too, but the colder air is filtering in. Back to the west too, we have scattered rain showers across the Pacific North and West, Seattle, Portland. Back over into the interior sections of Washington State, you can see some higher elevation snows there too. Looks like over to Snoqualmie Pass, we'll be looking there to Yakima, and then northward and eastward to Spokane. That's what we're currently looking at. Corey, we'll be following this the rest of the evening too.
That's right. And in many places across the United States, winter can have a rather nasty bite. But this year, it may not just be old man winter doing the biting. Meteorologist Jason Lindsay explains why we may have to deal with an increase in snake bites this winter. That's new tonight.
If the winter outlook holds true, we may see less of this. And according to meteorologist Pat Spoden with the National Weather Service, you can think what's happening in the tropics.
What we see this year and what the forecast is for what we call a very strong El Nino.
A mild winter may have you and your family exploring the great outdoors even more. If so, be on alert for something we typically don't see during the winter time. They slither down here by your feet, and they're called snakes.
Periods of heavy rainfall can increase snake activity, particularly in warm weather or in warm climates, and that increase in snake activity is likely to increase human-snake encounters.
And according to naturalist Scott Shoup, if you encounter a snake
and you don't know what kind it is, the rule is you treat it like it's a venomous snake. And the way you treat a venomous snake is you get away from it and leave it alone.
The good news, snakes are more scared of you than you are of them. In Paducah, I'm meteorologist Jason Lindsay for Weather Nation.
There's no way that's true. I guarantee you. Anyway, Devil's Lake. Look at your Halloween forecast, by the way. 45 degrees for your trick-or-treating time. In Spook City, Colorado, on the cooler side, about 41 degrees for you. And we're talking about like the 5 or 6 hour, you know, the prime candy getting hours. Yeah, we're talking about 86 degrees in Dead Man's Landing. And hey, highway to hell is actually, I think, Interstate 94. Just saying, because I kind of looked it up, and that's, I believe, the interstate that goes through there. So as you see, temperature-wise, we're not doing so badly for Halloween in some of those locales. The problem is there's going to be rain in places like Kill Devil Hills and down through Bloody Springs as well. Skull Valley on the drier side as we get closer to the Four Corners, but some rain coming in through the weekend. Indeed, going to cause a few trick-or-treaters to have to put a poncho over their costume, which every kid knows is not cool at all, unless you had a clear one, in which case you'll probably be okay. So looking at your forecast, at least through the rest of your week into your Wednesday and beyond, cold front comes on through, wraps around, bringing in some of that cooler air, and that's what's causing some of the snow that we've been talking about into Detroit as well. And as I said before, we have that rain coming in through parts of the Four Corners come about Thursday. So from about Dallas on through Little Rock, I'd probably say make sure you have your clear ponchos ready to go. It's going to be definitely on the wet side through Houston, up through Austin come Friday night, and then the rest of the weekend. Oh man, so those New Orleans kids, man, I hope you have your mask on and that is waterproof because it's going to be on the rainy side. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, Northwest too, going to be dealing with some of that rain, so a little bit of a creepy forecast.
Clouds everywhere you want to turn. That's the problem.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for watching us right here on Weather Nation tonight.
And we have so much more weather to cover for you tonight. So, hey, go and stay with us. And before we leave you, I want to take a look at the Gateway Arch in St. Louis. It's lit up in gold tonight for the 50th anniversary. You ever been to St. Louis?
Never have made it yet, but it's got to be on the list.
It is. Now, I'm going to tell you one thing. It does actually sway, but it's a great, great American icon. We'll see you in a few.